Hey everybody, happy Friday. Glad you're here. I am pretty darn excited about today's episode because Nikolai came into my life a very long time ago, but now we've just gotten to know each other, so pretty excited about this. Um, just want to check to make sure we're doing good. So the question of the day is, have you ever installed a Word, PowerPoint, or Excel add-in? Just curious. There's a company that makes a bunch of add-ins, sorry, that relate to our industry, and also a lot of helpful, I guess, tasks that we do in Excel, for instance. And that company is called ASAP. And when I ran a survey a while ago asking what tools people were using, and suggestions for Fast Tip Friday videos, that one came up a decent amount. People were using ASAP. So today we're going to be talking about some add-ins that Nikolai has built. And I was curious if any of you have experience already adding add-ins to Microsoft Office. Like PowerPoint has some add-ins. You might have used that. I've used that for my classes. All right, so we have Paula's in the house. Thank you, Paula, for telling me your name. So I don't have to say a small stepping stone. So thank you for being here. And Ramesh is saying hi over on Facebook. Good to see you, Ramesh. And let's see here. All right, so let me know if you have ever added a add-in to Microsoft Office. One issue in a law firm environment, at least, maybe government too, is whether or not IT lets it happen, you know? But if it's useful to your job to add an add-in, I think that you should fight for it. You know, I think you should get somebody on your side in the law firm. Paul is saying, thanks for always bringing us great tips. Good to see you here, Paul. I'm really excited that you showed up today. Okay. So today's guest is somebody that I met when I first started Litigation Support Guru. He's a techie, and he's been in our industry for a while, as you'll hear. But he reached out to me in 2011 when I started Litigation Support Guru to share with me something he had created. And I was really impressed with what it was. You're going to hear more about it today. And and then I ran into him. Well, he's been, you know, slowly but surely commenting on my stuff. And so, you know, getting more under my radar. And then he just showed up at Legal Tech, and we got to hug, and we've been talking ever since, so that's pretty cool. He's full of energy, as you'll see. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you here. So nobody's answered the question yet. Does that mean nobody knows what an add-in is? Have you ever installed an add-in? It basically adds an extra tab in Microsoft Office. So let me know if you've ever done that. Ramesh, you've probably done that. So let me know. We have, we have both. I was going to say we have one dog in the house today, but the other one just arrived, so now it's so funny. They lay their heads on top of each other. I think it's funny. Okay. Let me go ahead and get the show started here. Welcome to the Legal Tech Mastery Show. My name is Amy Bowser-Rollins, and I'm really excited today to have a guest. I'm going to keep calling him Nikolai because That makes sense to me. I know that a lot of people nickname Nikolais with Nick, but to me it makes more sense to have to call him by Nikolai. Actually, do you have a preference, Nick?
Nikolai
Nikolai?
is fine. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Rebecca says, to answer the question of the day, not yet. Ready to do it today, though.
All right.
And Paul is saying she installed a PowerPoint add-in, which is very popular. There's a bunch of those. Okay. So Nikolai, thank you so much for agreeing to go live on my show with me. You have a lot of familiarity with videos and working with cameras, but you mentioned when I saw you in Legal Tech that you hadn't quite gone live yet, and now you have.
Now I have, yes.
All right, so let's get started with every guest that I have on the show. I review their LinkedIn profile and get to know them a little bit more. So on your LinkedIn profile, I noticed you don't look that old, but apparently you've been in the industry almost as long as I have, and I am old. So can you tell us about your journey in the legal tech industry so far?
Sure. So I started in legal tech when I was in college. I was a regular computer geek, and I was looking for a job. And the job that I was applying for is something that's IT related. And I happened to get a job at a lit support firm. And what I was doing is I was burning CDs, I was helping with hardware, fixing scanners, printers, and then I started making load files, getting into more complicated load files. I learned what other guys were doing. And one day we had a client who sent us these specs for a load file that were really complex. There was something between like a JSON load file to a C++ code, and no one could figure out how to create that load file. And being a computer geek, I knew programming, so I said, guys, give me half a day. Let me play with this. And so I sat down and I made an application that would convert a DAT file into that load file.
You just sat down and did that in an afternoon?
Yeah, and that was and it was a simple DAT file. I took maybe 5 fields just to kind of show proof of concept.
Yeah.
But that day is what sort of changed everything. You know, I was this guy, college kid, and I just kicked butt everyone else in the office. I did this that no one else could figure out. And at that point, I realized that, well, this programming thing, you know, there's something to it. You know, I should pursue that. And continue working at the same company, learning programming. And years later, I wrote my first very, very simple e-discovery software, something that will crack open a PST, pull out metadata, make some TIFFs. Then I changed jobs, so I had to leave that project behind.
Okay.
And I started a new project. I was working with iPro Suite, and that application was great. Well, UI could use some tweaks, but the problem was with exports, right? So you can export everything out, but at that time, people liked their CDs in very particular formats. Some people wanted like all the TIFFs for a document to be in its own folder.
Yep.
Somebody wanted some other structure. JFS wanted path broken down, base number broken down by 2 characters and folder. So I created an add-on that would control the output of images as well as generate all the load files. So that was my next project.
Okay.
And then when I changed jobs again, I had to leave that behind, which was very sad because, again, I did that on a company time.
Yeah, of course.
So when I joined Discovery, where I am now, is I talked to my boss and I said, look, I want to start working on doing some programming on my own time when I have time.
Yeah.
And I want to start putting these projects up on my website, and I want to share them with lit support community. So he was cool with it. And that's kind of how #legal came about. It wasn't called that. It came through a few different names, but basically I made a website, and I started with something called EDD Tools, which is again a tools package for law pre-discovery, which does all kinds of stuff that law doesn't do. You know, like sort date, right? You'd be surprised law doesn't do sort date still, but and that led into more and more tools that I've been posting on my website.
Right. We're going to go into more detail, you guys, on what he just rambled off at the end there. But I wanted to let you know, Nick, that your team commented, Christina commented and says she's here supporting you. But she also noticed that we're wearing similar outfits, and I did not notice that
Yes.
yet.
Yes,
We did not plan that.
not planned at all.
So, Christina, good eye. All right, so we have an answer to the question of the day from earlier. Installed MSFT fuzzy search add-in for paralegal to compare two large spreadsheets. Oh, cool.
All right.
All right, so also in your LinkedIn profile, one of the things I was attracted to when I read it a while back was how you describe how you like to build teams and manage people and stuff like that. And one thing you said was that you lead by example, you're right there with them doing the work. So I wanted to, while I have you here, I like to get feedback from other managers. What is your style for leading a team of legal technology people?
So the way I lead team is I do sit in the same room with everyone who works with me. So we're always talking, we're always in communication. And when I say I lead by example, is I don't just give out instructions and say, okay, here's a procedure, here's a workflow I made up. Go ahead and follow it, right? I make sure that I follow that workflow. I do all the tasks and all the jobs that my people do. This way I understand how long do they take, what difficulties are there, what kind of errors could come up. And it also helps me to match jobs with personalities. There's some
Yeah.
people on the team who like to do small jobs and kind of get them off the list as quickly as possible, just done,
Mhm.
done, done. And there are other people who are a little bit more mellow and they're okay taking a longer running project and they may spend like a whole day on it and they're okay, loading 100 PSTs. They'll sit there, they organize them, they do something. Other people are more impatient. So if I have multiple jobs and I know what they're involved, I can better assign work to different people.
Yeah, I'm the same way actually. It's funny you mentioned that. I always say something along the lines of figuring out where the person can shine, where they're a good fit for the task at hand. Even deciding in my world on the law firm side, should they be behind the scenes or should they be client facing, meaning talking to the attorneys? Because like you said, some people just want to dig in, deal with data all day long and not
Mhm.
talk to people or not interact with the attorneys. They don't want to do the consulting side of it. And then
Yeah.
there's other people that enjoy talking to the clients.
Yeah, and some people just have a clearly written instructions. Please do this. Here's what I need. Do this. Done. Yep.
It's funny. We have similar styles. Okay, so then we were both at Legal Tech a month or two
Mhm.
ago, and you walked. I always stand in the same place so everybody can find me. And you walked right up to me and had a camera in your hand. And I don't know if I told you this yet, but if I hadn't already been doing live video in front of a camera, which took a learning curve for me, that the fact that I'm staring at an inanimate object and you're on the other side of it, and everybody else is too, that takes a learning curve for me. So I am still getting used to it, but you walked up, had a camera in my face, and you're like right away, "Hi, Amy, how you doing?" I gave you a hug, and then you asked me a question and everything, and so uh, I answered you, but in the process, you commented that I did something brave and that I went live, and I totally agree. It was brave, and I decided to go live because I wanted to interact with the audience like we're doing right now. Um, but you also do a bunch of vlog type things, which I could never do. And in your vlog, you had me in it for Legal Tech, and then you went out in the hallway. And I watched this later. You went out in the hallway and said, "Amy just challenged me to go live, and I'm going to try to go live." I thought that was kind
Yes.
of cute. So tell me how you got it. I mean, how do you know what equipment to get? How did you get into vlogging and knowing how to do it? Because the editing is cool, the music is cool. You did a
Thank
good
you.
job.
Well, the way I started on that is I've always been making videos as long as I had a digital camera. So whenever I would go somewhere with my friends or with family, I would bring a camera and I would make a video about a trip. But the difficulty for me has always been video editing. So I would make these random videos. I would save them somewhere. And after a few years, once I figured out video editing, I started putting together these videos like of trips. And in the beginning, well, they were really boring. So when I had my family come over, we would watch a video. Okay, well, we're going skiing. And then, so they would be like, oh, okay, wait, hey, here's a driving sequence coming up. And they go, okay. And so they would make fun of my videos, how long some of them are. But that didn't deter me at all. I kept making them, right? And I tried to make each one a little bit better than the next. I don't learn that fast, so I made them a little bit better. And so
Of course.
I just kept making them. And years later, I started my YouTube channel. Well, that was last summer.
Yeah.
And in the fall, we were going to Relativity Fest. So somebody from the office suggested, why don't you make a vlog of our trip? So I said, all right, well, I'm going to have to do better than my typical skiing videos, right? So I started watching YouTube and I started watching how people do vlogs. And I liked some, I didn't like others. Usual names came up, Peter McKinnon, Casey Neistat, right? So I kind of learned what the structure is. You talk to a camera, then you let people breathe a little bit, put some time lapse maybe, and then continue the conversation, make sure the story falls together. So that was generally the structure that I would follow. But one of the more difficult things is to actually take the camera and speak to it in public. You hold this big camera and walk around, and that is super weird. When you're around friends, that's okay to do, make a comment to a camera, that's fine. But when you're around people you don't know, it is really weird. So what I would do is weeks before Legal Tech, I would bring my big camera to work with me.
Yeah.
And on my lunch break, I would go to the park and I would just spend like maybe 5 minutes walking around and talking into it.
Okay.
So that was kind of my trick. Well, I mean, it's still really weird doing it, but at least I got used to at least I got used to the motion of how to hold the camera. Do I hold it higher? Do I hold it lower? All the sound settings and so on. So that's kind of how I got into that. And yeah, the trip to Chicago Relativity Fest, that was my first proper vlog.
And the one I just showed is just a few months later, and the editing it took to do everything I just showed. Oh my God, that's a lot of work. But it's funny. I know I'm going live in my studio, so to speak, right? But I have yet to go live in front of you guys just randomly, like you're talking about. I bought the equipment. I have, a thing I can hold in my hand with my phone on it, and I can go live at any time. But I have this thing about doing it in public, like you just said, watching me talk to my phone. But I'm gonna get past it. I'm gonna do it. Maybe when the weather warms up, I'll get more, outside and show people where I go, to enjoy the weather and stuff like that. But I'm totally on board with you. You're getting past it, and I still need to do that.
Yep. Start when you're around friends, and then just start going out to public areas. I would go to Grand Central and just talk to the camera. Yeah.
So Jason's saying hi. Ramesh is saying that he had not installed an add-in, even though I assumed he might have. And then Wade has another add-in. We're going to have Wade on the show in another date. And he created one that for Excel as well, and he's explaining what it does. So that's pretty cool. I purchased it, but I haven't had a chance to actually play with it yet. And then Ankit, my coworker in our India office, is staying up late to be on the show with us. Thank you, Ankit. Okay, so in 2011, as I said, I started my blog, and then I get this comment or email, I forget, I think it might have been an email from Nikolai saying, I have this thing called the EDD Toolbar that I've created. Here we are, 6-7 years later. It's totally evolved. It does a whole bunch of things. Now it adds 2 tabs. And if you've ever used any of my Fast Tip Fridays where I'd show you how to go into Excel to do something outside of Excel, that's one thing that he's done with PDFs. So let's talk about EDD Toolbar for a second.
Sure. So the EDD Toolbar started as a kind of shortcut to doing a lot of things that you can already do, but you're just saving a good number of steps. So for example, you can load a directory list right into Excel using EDD Toolbar. So you could do it with a DOS command. You could type dir, save it to a text file, open in Excel. But with the toolbar, you can just click a button, paste path, and you're done. And then you can do similar things like you can check if your OPT has a good path, and so on. And then it involved further into doing gap checks and dat files, and actually similar to what somebody just mentioned, taking an area in Excel and saving it right into a dat file. And the most recent additions were the PDF tab. So what I did there is I added a PDF page counter. And the reason for that is people keep always asking, hey, I got these PDFs, we need to print them out. How many pages is it?
Absolutely.
And like, well, I don't know, we have to load them to load, we have to TIFF them. What can you just tell me now? And so what people would do is they go online and download these PDF page counter tools. Yep. And so you download 3 of them, and each one will give you a different count. Well, with my toolbar, you can get a 4th different count. No,
I was wondering how you were.
I actually tested mine a lot, and I found it to be the most accurate. It is using .NET PDF. I forgot what the exact name of the API is, but it's the open source PDF API, and I found it to be fairly accurate.
Like 98% or 95%?
I would say 98%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, they don't want an exact count most of the time. They want a really close ballpark.
Yeah, just an estimate.
Yeah.
And then from there, I added a few more things, like getting metadata from PDF portfolio, because that's really hard to export. And then there are a couple of things I threw in there, just if people want to merge the PDFs together. It was kind of wasn't meant to be a main function, but while I was there, I just made a couple of tools.
All right, Victoria is saying hi. She's one of the people I mentored last year. But she's doing some really cool things in a new job. And Jennifer is saying hi to both of us. Jennifer works with me at Case Point. She's on the West Coast. And Jason's cracking up, just like we did. Okay, so one question I have before we show some of the other stuff you've created is there's 2 options here, for instance, on this product. One says download only, no license, and one says 1-year license. So how does this work?
Okay, the way this works is first you add to the cart a free product download only. You download it, you install it on your computer, and once you install it, you get a key, a unique key that is associated with your computer.
Okay.
Then you go to the license, and when you purchase that license, you put the key right at the checkout screen. So when you pay for the license, I get the information about what key your computer has. So when I generate a serial number for you, you can just plug it in and you're good to go.
All right, this is the same way that Wade's tool works. When I purchased his tool to test it out. Okay, so this one is $100 a year, basically, right?
Yes.
The EDD Toolbar, which includes both of these tabs, right? Yeah, the PDF and this whole list of stuff.
Yeah, and $100. I mean, this is for a company in the litigation support environment. It's pretty much free. You know, if somebody personally buying it, yes, it's $100.
Yeah.
But no software in lit support world costs $100. This is more like a donation. Just hey,
to
good
support
job,
you. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I totally get it. But some small firms have trouble getting people to approve things, but $100, I think people can get that approval. All right, so let's talk about what you started doing with these videos. So similar to my Fast Tip Friday videos, you started sharing last summer. You started sharing all these short little tech tips. And I was curious what you think your favorites are, and then I'm going to tell you what my favorite is.
Okay. Well, so the tech tips themselves, they aren't as memorable to me because they're sort of just capturing information, right? There isn't much soul behind them. I just kind of share the technical aspects of it. Here's how you do it. The one that I enjoyed doing recently is where I was talking about virtual machines versus real station. This is kind of a rant that I went on.
Okay.
I don't think it's in the tips, but it's in there. It's called VM versus real station, where I got frustrated with everyone switching to virtual machines, and you lose so much power. I know it's inevitable. Everyone's going to do it. Everyone virtualizes, but it is just so frustrating that you're just throwing away 30 to 40% of your CPU power for nothing, for just convenience. So that's one of the videos that I enjoyed making. And of course, vlogs are definitely my favorite.
Okay, so my favorite is this one right here.
Oh yeah, yes.
When I saw you posted it recently, I don't know if you guys can read this, so I'm going to read it. How to overlay data into concordance dash the right way. So in 2005, I'm going to give credit to my friend Sherry Rather, who sometimes watches this show. Sherry Rather in 2005 showed me how to do this the right way, and I love that you did this video, because if you guys are using the overlay feature in concordance, stop doing it right now and watch this video.
Yeah, don't do that. You do it 3 times and you get away with it, and the 4th time you're gonna be so screwed you wish you never done it. Yes.
All right, so Wade's saying nice to hear about other tools to assist us. And Sylvia's basically saying hi. She works with me at CasePoint. And let's see. Oh yeah, I don't know how to say it. Q Tools? Yeah, I remember seeing that one too. Install Q Tools for one paralegal. She loves it, can't live without it. Very cool. Have you used that one, Nikolai? Q Tools?
No, I don't think I did.
And then Wade's confirming that he's used that as well. I have to remind myself what it includes, but that's another one that adds add-ons.
I'll check that out too.
Okay. All right, so then in September, just this past September, you launched something you called Admin Pro, which is an app for Relativity. And I'm sort of in awe that you're sharing this stuff, because this is pretty cool. Let's talk about this one for a second.
Yeah, so the Admin Pro is for, and so I have a lot of trouble naming my tools, but this is for
I do too.
This is not for IT administrators. This is for case administrators, right?
Okay.
So these are like project managers, case managers. Those are the people who work with data and administer case. And the idea behind this project is to put tools where mass operations are. So in Relativity, when you have scripts, you have to go to the script area. You may need to make a safe search. There are a lot of steps before you get to a certain tool. The idea here was to get to the tool you need as quickly as possible, which means it lives right below your screen in the mass operations. So you can access it from either folder view or from your saved search. So you see 100 documents on your screen, you can check them all and act on them immediately without having any kind of setup done at all. So that was the inspiration behind going in the direction of Admin Pro. And I've put some tools here that generate like sequential numbers, like you can pre-create Bates numbers without running productions if you just need to preserve a sort order or something like that. But the overall point of this project was to experiment with mass operations.
This one was kind of cool, I thought, because, you know, I had 5 cases in Relativity with 5 different service providers, but in-house we still had concordance, and we were always putting stuff from the Relativity databases into concordance, subsets, right? So this one's interesting to me because I teach about query files in concordance. Some people don't even know about query files, and you're taking information from a saved search and generating a query file, is that right?
Exactly, yes. So let's say you exported a production and somebody says, oh, whenever you have a certain condition, can we also update something in the production? Well, you don't want to re-export your production. You just want to find those records in your concordance database. So you do search in Relativity, export URY file, load it to concordance, and it just brings up all the right documents there, so you can do mass search and replace or anything else you want to do with those documents.
I would love you, Nikolai. If I was still doing this kind of work, I would be so thankful for this. So how much does this one cost?
This one's free.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm giving this away for free, yes. Admin Pro, you can download, install in your Relativity. Use it as much as you want.
Wow. Okay. So hold on a second. Let's see what we got here. Melissa's saying, in regards to EDD Toolbar license, what happens when you change computers? Do you want to take that?
You can just let me know, and I'll give you a license for a different computer. You'll have to generate a new key, and I'll be happy to switch it. That's not a problem.
Okay, cool. All right, so Admin Pro is for Relativity admin slash, like you said, I might not be an admin, but I'm a client admin, you know, I have
Yes.
more access. Jacob's asking, do we have links to these tools? The website is #legal.com. Is
Yep.
that right? Yeah.
That's correct. Just
So
spell out hashtag.
That's what I'm on right now, where I'm showing you guys stuff. Okay, let's talk about this one. This is pretty cool. Why did you create this? I'm assuming you created this for yourself.
Okay, you got me. Yes, I did. I did. Okay, so here's what happens when you have large review jobs. Reviewers, they come and go, and sometimes they leave, and sometimes they're being terminated for whatever reason. And oftentimes you get this email: please disable this account right now.
Yep.
And so what happens is, nice day after work, you're enjoying a cold beverage with your coworkers, and you get one of those emails. Well, I have to go upstairs or get a laptop and disable an account. And with this app, I can just use my phone. I go disable, next, and I can enjoy my cold beverage.
Yeah.
My evening, that's right. And from there, it was meant to enable disabled Relativity users, but then I took it further, so you can add them to groups and remove them from groups. Again, one of those things, like, well, while I was there, might as well have that functionality there. So that was my project where I kind of was learning iOS programming. This is available only for iPhone and iPad. I do not have an Android version, unfortunately. I am hoping to learn Xamarin, which is a programming where you can write your programs for both iOS and Android, but so far I haven't gotten to that yet. So this is iOS only.
You use one tool to create a app that will work on both operating systems?
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
cool. Yeah, that's the first thing actually I thought of when I saw this. I was like, here's him in learning a new skill, because app development is a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing. And this was my exploration in that area. It's kind of how I like to do my projects. And I'm interested in iOS or programming. And I say, okay, well, let me learn by doing something useful in that area.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that app came about.
And that's the best way to learn a new software tool. Like if you want to learn Access, think of a project. That's the best way to learn something, is to have an end goal, right? Not to just go in and try to learn software on the fly, but to have a project where you're trying to get it to do something. That's when you really learn something. All right, so how much does the iOS app cost?
That's also free.
All righty then.
I do have a mix of free and paid apps.
Yes, you do.
Have them all at all different levels.
Yes, you do. All right. We can switch to that right now. So this is the purchase page, and we can see that some are, I just zoomed in a lot. Let me zoom out some. So some are free, and you can see when there's 2 of these, that means it's not free, right?
Correct. You need a license.
Okay, we're not going to go over everything on this list today because we're limited on time, but he's got some other cool tools, you guys, that you might be interested in. Okay, let's switch gears for a second to this one, which I was a little confused, and you had to, clear it up for me. So this is another Relativity add-on app. It's exclusive to vDiscovery clients. So if you use vDiscovery services, you get all these cool things that Nikolai has enabled you to be able to do. And then you said you also sell it separately, not to any other competitors to vDiscovery, because that would just be silly, but to any law firms or corporations. Is that correct?
That's right. vDiscovery is the only vendor that has BatchGuru and who can offer BatchGuru to clients. However, law firms and corporations can purchase their own version from me.
So if I was in a
And
law
this
firm
one,
still, I would totally get this too.
correct. And
Okay.
this one is not free, and it's also not cheap.
All right. Wade's saying, "Oh my God, Nikolai, you're so generous."
Not when you when
Not,
you learn how much BatchGuru costs.
yeah.
I'm actually not going to talk about that on this one.
But see, I think he's talking about the other stuff, and I agree. Okay, so let's talk about everything that, or a bunch of things that BatchGuru can do.
Okay, so BatchGuru was my another toolkit of almost random tools, just like I made EDD tools to extend functionality of law. I made BatchGuru to extend functionality of relativity. And this one was one of my biggest projects to date. I spent months and months planning it, figuring out how to do it, how I can build it in a way that I can add new tools to it easily so that it's all modular. There is a lot of security that's built into it, so you can use relativity security controls, so you can restrict users from using certain tools, and you can make it also scalable. So what's happening is there are agent servers that are running these tools. They're not just running when you click a button. They're being sent to a server, and server executes the job. And what that allows you to do is add as many servers as you want, and each server can have multiple agent servers, so you could scale it up as your needs increase. And when I built this, I started with fairly simple tools. I started with MD5 hash generator, which is it's one of those when the client calls you like, "Did you guys dedupe this?" Yes. Well, I'm still seeing duplicates. All right.
Of course. Their definition of a duplicate.
Yeah. And so now we're going, all right, well, can't you rerun the duplication without using Internet Message ID? All right, well, this is how we do it. We'll generate a new hash value using hash generator, run it, and you get a new set of non-duplicate documents. And of course, misuse of it leads to very, very dangerous areas. And from there, I went on to doing things like calculating page numbers for a document. I'm sure you know in concordance how you can, if you're looking for a specific page in a document, you can just type it in inside concordance image and it will take you there, but relativity doesn't have it. So I made a tool that will take a backdoc and an enddoc and calculate all the numbers in between and store them in a long text field. So if somebody says like, yeah, I'm looking at this page 22, can you go to that page? And you're like, it's not showing up. Well, because 22 is the sixth page in a document.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to generate all the numbers within a document, you can just paste it in the filter and get to that page.
That was one of the differences I found between iPro. People loved iPro because they could get to a page easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple of other things I did from there is I did a lot of export tools. No one likes desktop client. It's been a little frustrating for people. It's a little messy. So I wrote my own export tools.
Let me clarify, the Relativity desktop client.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, because this is all relativity. And so I wrote my own export tools for productions, for saved searches, so that you could basically use BatchGuru same tools. You specify what you want to export, you hit a button, and the server does the actual export, and it just puts it in a folder that you specify. So you don't have to sit there and watch it. So you can have 5 or 6 different exports running at the same time.
Where does BatchGuru sit in Relativity? You mentioned the other one sat with mass operations. Where does this one sit?
This one is a relativity object. So it's going to be toolbar on top, just like you see imaging or CR, you would see BatchGuru with a drop down, and you will see all the different tools that are included there. And you can hide each one. So if the list gets too long, you can hide some of them that you don't use and kind of clear out the screen.
Cool.
And the last tool I want to tell you that was really popular is called Detect Cutoff Image. And when people image things, sometimes things run off the page.
Yeah. And
so what I did is I made it scan just the 5 pixels on the right side of the page, just to see if there are any non-white pixels present.
Wow.
And so that turned out to be a very, very successful tool. I actually have people calling me and asking me, can I buy this tool?
Of course.
Like, well, it's part of BatchGuru. And they're like, no, I don't want the whole thing. I just want this. I'm like, No, I'm sorry. I mean, you can use just that tool, but
You mentioned earlier that you could hide menu items. Can you do it based on security? So if you have BatchGo installed, can I have my attorneys see some things and then Lit Support see everything? That type of thing? Do you have that
yes,
built in
you
yet?
can. Yes, you can control who can see which tools, and you can also control who can write data into which fields. This way, people don't overwrite metadata fields
Yeah,
because you don't want people overwriting like from to a CC. Because if somebody accidentally runs a tool and overrides, then boy, you
yeah,
have problems,
yeah.
right? So you can restrict which fields are user overridable, let's say,
Got you.
and then people can run as many tools as they want and just mess with them, you know,
So
and write anything they want there.
what's another tool, or what are you calling them? You're calling them tools within BatchGo. What's another one that
Yeah,
you are excited about?
date format. Okay, so when you're doing productions, everyone likes to have dates, year, month, day, or month, day, year.
Hmm.
So you could take an existing date field and format it and save it to a text field so that the formatting is preserved. So if you want, same thing with time, if you want AM, PM time, or military time, you can sort of lock it in a text field and then export it out into a DAT file for production. So that's
That's a
been
funny
pretty
one
useful.
because we deal with the dates in the way they were imported originally, right? They're processed and they're put in the database. And then we use those dates all different kinds of ways later. And that's
Mhm.
exactly right. When we export them, sometimes, like a lot of databases put the date and time together.
Yes.
There's always these things that we ask for on an export. We live with it while it's in the database. But okay, what's another one?
Um, okay, production helper. This is
Production
when,
helper.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's somewhere in there, but what
This
it
is a
does,
long one. Here it is. Production
yeah,
helper.
there it is.
Create fields
Um,
required for common. Oh,
so
okay.
this is really cool. So let's say you have an SEC production that
Yep.
has maybe 6, 7 custom fields you need to populate. Well, all done with one button. You preset all your fields, click a button, and it'll just populate them all. And next time you have a next production, you just change your saved search you're running, your tool on, click a button, and it's done the same way consistently. So you don't have that difference where morning shift did it one way, and then the evening shift came in, and they did it in Excel slightly differently, and they
Yeah.
misinterpreted the instructions. So at least you will, I can't guarantee you that everyone will select same tools and the same options, but at least that'll be done consistently from shift to shift, which is a big key here.
It's so funny.
Consistency.
See, that's the thing I like about this is sort of like Justin, who created a tool called Ready Suite after working in our field for years inside a law firm. He left law firm and created a tool to help us do our job better. Your
Yeah.
perspective is on the job. You're like, well, I can make a tool to do this. I can make a tool to do this, and that's what I'm actually jealous about. I don't have that skill set. But I've talked to people, friends that are like you in the past about creating. It would be nice if we have this GUI interface that can do all the kinds of things that let support people do. So that's sort
Yeah.
of what Batch Guru is. It's geared
Yeah.
towards relativity, but
It is. It is. Yes.
let's see. Ramesh is saying, great show, useful insights. Thanks for introducing Nikolai. Okay. I try to keep these to half an hour, and we're right about there now.
Right.
But did you want to share anything else about Batch Guru while we have you?
No, no. I think we've covered enough. I have videos made for every tool. So feel free to go and watch those videos that will explain how they work, and all the details behind each tool and how it's supposed to be used.
Okay. And if they're interested in purchasing it, they go to your website?
Correct. And there's a contact information. You can send me an email, and I'll be happy to talk about any of the tools.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch to this real quick. So here's the purchase page. And Batch Guru is not on here, but they can go
That
to
is
this
not
contact page right here.
correct.
Okay. And the last thing I want to encourage you guys to do, because I did it a while ago, is go to YouTube, find hashtag legal, click the subscribe button. I'm not logged in as
Yes.
me right now. And then, more importantly, after you click subscribe, let's see if I can do this. Yep. then click this little bell. Do this for my YouTube channel and for Nikolai's YouTube channel.
Yes,
So when
thank
you click this, it'll notify you every time he adds a new video, so you can geek out over what he's decided to share with us next. And he's got everything in playlist here, so you can see here's the other Excel add-ons we didn't get time to talk about. Here's all the videos of Admin Pro, which remember that's the free one. And then here's all his tips, which he sort of downplayed these, but I actually really enjoy these tips. They're really cool.
Thank you.
Oh, my resident humor person, Wade, every week he's cracking me up. No Amy coupon discount code.
We can talk about that.
It's fine.
Check the video description after the show.
No, it's fine. But Wade's just being silly. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. This is one reason I brought you on here too, is you're sharing your knowledge with everybody. You're taking the time, which it takes time, to prep, to do a tutorial, video and put it out on YouTube. So I can appreciate how long that takes. Sometimes it takes me an hour just to get all the sample data ready and everything open and in the right spot before I click record. So I can appreciate you doing that and just sharing your knowledge. You're a generous person in nature, to share your knowledge with people. Like you said, when we first started talking about doing this and I asked you what you're passionate about, you figured out a long time ago that you're good at training people, so why not record it and share it? So that's pretty cool.
Yep. All right. Thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. Thanks for being here. Hey, you guys, have a good weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.